This is Colin Dixon of nScreenMedia, and I'm here at the VideoNuze nScreenMedia booth at NAB 2013 with Ken Brueck, the Chief Marketing Officer of upLynk. Now, a couple of weeks ago, upLynk, I guess, came out of the closet, if you like, that they were the power behind Disney Watch with the Watch apps for the live streamed Disney channels on iPads and other Apple devices. So, Ken, this is great. This is a great announcement.
It is. It's really exciting. It's kind of showing the start of the industry really starting to take TV everywhere very seriously, and we're starting to see the broadcasters and the content owners really try and get into the game. So we're very excited about it.
Was Disney very exacting in their requirements? I would expect so, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, someone like Disney has a lot of legal issues that they have to take care of when they're going to a mobile play. I mean, a lot of their content negotiations still haven't come into the web space yet. So they have a lot of complexity in there that they have to manage that not everyone will always be thinking of right up front.
So, Disney putting their live channels online, this really seems to be a theme this year. Certainly, you know, we saw a little bit of it last year, but it seems like there's a whole raft of live channels starting up, and it's not just mainstream broadcasters. We're seeing companies like Huffington Post and Wall Street Journal launching live online channels. So, is this something that you're playing into? It sounds like you're a great solution for a whole bunch of different providers.
Oh, definitely. The key part about the upLynk solution is we're trying to make it cost effective for anybody of any size. And so when you've got a customer like Disney that has this massive operation that they're trying to work with, keeping costs low is incredibly important for them because they have an issue of scale that they have to deal with. If you can solve those problems at scale, you can also apply those same things to smaller customers as well. Their use cases are often just much simpler, so it's easier to deliver on those.
So let's talk about that scale issue. Sure. One of the things that can get very expensive very quickly is having to purchase a whole bunch of encoders and equipment like that. How do you help out with that issue?
Definitely. That was one of the biggest things we wanted to solve, is trying to get this live linear encoding solution in place that was cost effective. The challenge with encoding for live linear is capacity planning is always at capacity. When you're encoding, it's always maxed out because it's running 24/7. There's no sense of a queue. You can't get behind on that. And so if you're purchasing hardware encoding appliances, that's a real problem. That's very expensive. So what we chose to do instead was use a hybrid approach of encoding. We're leveraging the cloud for all of the bulky, heavy encoding for doing adaptive. But what we do is we run a small application at the facility on commodity hardware. So someone like Disney, for example, has a Linux box, probably about $1,000 worth of hardware with a capture card in it that's taking a feed straight from their broadcast infrastructure that's then pushing it up to the cloud for encoding. So the CapEx for even someone as large as Disney is about $1,000.
That's amazing. So that's tiny. So Disney just had to invest $1,000, and that one encoder, I imagine it's backed up, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing about Disney is they didn't even have to spend that money. They already had it laying around. So for them, their CapEx was zero. But if you're starting from scratch, yeah, you're looking at just a little bit of hardware. And it's not the encoding that's happening on that hardware. It's the transport of the video and the analysis so that we can tell the cloud what to do with the encoding.
But if I'm a small provider, I don't need that, right? I don't need that encoder. I can just run with a purely cloud-based solution?
Oh, well, it's all cloud-based. So the hardware that Disney has is strictly for signal acquisition, because they've got their broadcast infrastructure. They're taking in their SDI feed. We have to somehow deliver that to the cloud. So the hardware, that Linux box that I'm referring to, is strictly just to acquire the signal, look at the video, and then push it up to the cloud. So if you're a smaller company that's doing linear, you still need some way to get video into the system. So you'd still need a tiny little Linux box sitting there for live. On demand, it's no CapEx at all. You just use an Ultrabook if you needed to.
Okay, so now Disney, very big company. Do you work with small companies as well? I mean, this is kind of scary if you're a small company. I don't know if I'd want to approach upLynk to do it.
I'm glad you asked. Our pricing model is usage-based. And so the great part about that is if you're someone as large as Disney, our pricing scales up to those levels as well. But if you're a small company, or if you're someone that's just kind of dipping your toes in the water to see what it's all about, your bill's going to be tiny because it's usage-based. So it scales up and down both ways. The nice part is our entire solution is so simple, it doesn't require a massive team to integrate with us. It doesn't require a lot of man hours. It's very much plug and play. You can get going in just minutes.
Now, what about if I've got my live feed and I have a bunch of shows in that feed? Do I also have to provide you the separate shows for the on-demand, or can you get that all for me from the live feed?
It's entirely up to you. We can do both. One of the benefits of the upLynk technology is that live and on-demand are very similar. And so we have the ability to grab anything once it's been captured live and immediately play it back as on-demand. And there's no transformation or re-encoding or anything. Just the moment it's been captured, it's available for on-demand playback, and vice versa. We can also take on-demand content and slide it into a live feed, perhaps in the case where a content owner doesn't have rights to rebroadcast something in their linear feed online. They can just remove that content, toss in another asset, and it's seamless for the users watching.
Oh, really? So if a sport is blocked in a particular region, it can be broadcast fine to everywhere else, and we can smoothly insert another asset into there for the blocked region?
Yep, it's a seamless transition, and part of the way our technology works, it's a one-time thing. We do it once on the server, and so whatever content didn't have clearance to play, it goes away. We substitute something else, we'll fill it with dynamic ads, and users have no idea. It's completely seamless.
So you can do targeted ads as well, right?
Most definitely. And that's what really gets exciting with our linear technology, and we're doing this with the Watch Disney apps right now, is we can remove the ads that were in the broadcast stream, because again, that's something that the content owners usually don't have rights to replay over the air, at least in the States. And so we make it possible to remove those ads and then deliver targeted ads to each user. So you could have two iPads, we could be sitting right next to each other watching content. When it goes to ad break, we'll both see different ads, and then we'll both come back to the same live content. So it's kind of a hybrid of the TV experience that we're used to with a little bit of a web flair to it.
So this is a great start to 2013 for upLynk. How are you going to top it? What else is to come this year from you?
Well, so linear is becoming very hot this year. I mean, TV everywhere is really taking off, and I think what we're going to see is just really taking advantage of the complexity of what we can deliver. So when we're looking at a cable network like a Disney XD or Disney Junior or something where the same feed is going to everyone nationwide, that already is a pretty complicated challenge. But where it really becomes exciting is when you're looking at things like affiliates, where you've got a network station that's broadcasting out to multiple affiliates. You know, how do you let affiliates alter that station, add in their own local news, and how do you deal with all those things? So stay tuned, we're going to have some pretty exciting stuff on that this year.
Oh boy, it's a real shame you couldn't have announced more product here at NAB. It would have fit right in.
Yeah, gotta save something for later this year.
So we look forward to hearing from you then in the very near future with an announcement on that. And Ken, I want to thank you for coming in, and have a great show.
My pleasure. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you. This has been Colin Dixon.